Anyways, welcome back. My name is Gabriel with Matt. Today we're building a park bench. We got about $100 for a budget. We'll tell you how much we sold it for at the end of the video. So we'll start a project right after this. So like we start most projects over here, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the schematics. These schematics are available on my Patreon page at a bunch of different formats. So yeah, go ahead and check that out if you want to support the channel. So the most difficult part of this entire build is going to be the top rail over here. So it has a nice little curve. It's going to have 13 slats going into it, so yeah, a lot of mortises. So I'm going to go ahead and show you exactly what the complications are with building a curved back with slats like this. So let's go. What I have here is the actual piece that would have went onto the benches if I didn't do something really wrong, which I'm going to show you a little bit later. Don't worry, we'll show you. So we already did all the mortises and everything that we need to do, but we really want to show you these mortises right here because they have to be super deep in order to have your slats going in there, and you have to do them when your piece is still straight because it's a lot harder to do when it's curved. So you want to do your mortises before doing the actual template work that's going to come up a little bit later. Before we go and cut these onto the mortiser, because that's what we use in order to do this, because these are 2.5 inches deep. I'm not going to find a router bit to go that deep. I don't have any other tools to do it, so I'm going to use that. So before I do that, I'm going to show you how I measured to put these lats together. Basically, we start from the middle and we go out. If we have a lot in the middle and the equal amount of lats going all the way across, it ends up being an odd number, and it looks better with a lat straight in the middle and then you keep on going out. So what we use is what we call a equal distance divider. It's one of these tools that are pretty hard to find, but once you find them you want to grab one. So what I'll do, since they are hard to find, I'll leave a link in the description where you can get one, and yeah, I hope you enjoy it. So to be able to do this, basically, like I said, we start with the middle, and we have a 2.5 inch lat that goes in here, and we're gonna have a 1/2 inch gap in between. So what we ended up doing, that's a 3-inch pattern. So we put the equal distance dividers at 3 inches, and we just marked them all the way across, and then we moved it to the other side of the mortise, same thing, and we did the center for the edges that we knew that we would need the centers for. And yeah, and after that we took our combination square and we just struck a couple of lines, and now everything is marked up and ready to go. So the 5 in the middle are 2.5 inches. Then the ones on the sides, we took them down by about, I think it was 1/2 inch to the 2 on this side, and then another 1/2 inch for the 2 on the other next to that, because there's a curve, so you want to follow the curve sort of. fun with these mortisers. I mean, you can probably grab something like that for around like $600 or something like that, brand spanking new, and I mean they are well worth it. And this one over here came with an adapter, so it's basically a drill press at the same time. I mean, it's hard to use as a drill press because it's just a solid thing underneath there. But you can also like adjust your drill presses to be a mortiser. Now, if you want to see how I adjusted that to be able to work properly, let me know in the description below and I'll make a video on that. Same thing if you want to know how we did this template. All right. So I'm just going to take this template off for a second because we need to talk about the tenons. Okay, so next up, we're going to cut the mortises for the bottom rail and also for the stiles, so the sides of the bench. The reason why we're going to cut all that together because it's going to be pretty much the same setup. It's going to be the same router bit, different jigs, but you know, same setup. And we need the mortises before we do the tenons. Remember when I told you that the piece was not going to be used? Well, this is why right here. This is the reason. I don't know if you can see it. Can you picture exactly what the mistake was right there? Yeah, I cut the tenon on the wrong side of the workpiece, so this became firewood right here. Super disappointed, so I had to start all over. I built 2 benches, by the way. So yeah, that's why I have 2 of these. The one is still good. I'm probably going to be using it for a different project, but this one over here is obviously firewood and you know, something will have to stay there to my chest. So how do we cut these on the table saw? Well, obviously we use a dado blade to do the 1/2 inch sides. So to go on the sides over here, we did use a dado blade to go on the sides, and then we use a normal blade to cut the center right over here. So as you can see, this is a little bit offset, so we're just going to have to clean that off with a chisel real quick. It doesn't take that much time. It's maybe a 1/16 of an inch further. Just make sure that, you know, nothing's going to go wrong or anything like that, which, you know, obviously things went wrong. So yeah, not fun. I mean, that's probably a day or 2 of work, so not that great. Now what we did is that we use, you know, some hand tools to adjust them very little at a time to fit them into the mortises that goes into like the stiles. Alright, so we're doing template work. We're going to do all the template work that we need. So that means for the legs, the armrest, the seat pan thing. That's going to be like the rail for the seat pans. So the seat's going to be supported by this thing right over here. Well, not this one, because this one has some tear out on here. That happened off camera. So this thing over here is not very useful. but I'm going to use it as a prop anyways. If you want to know how to stop tear out, I made a short video on that as well. You might want to check that out. I did a mistake with this one. Just leave it at that. It's my fault. All right, so where am I? Template work. Let's go ahead and do that. We'll come back afterwards. Alright, so at this point we're going to do the most complicated joint in this entire build, which is the bridal joint that takes the seat pan and connects it to, you know, the stiles. So the seat frame or pan, whatever you want to call this, is what we're going to do the actual mortise on. So it's a compound angle because the seat's at an angle. So we need to have a 90-degree angle back here in order to, you know, facilitate that. So that's the way that we cut it on the table saw, is that we use this sled over here. Now if you want to see how we built this sled, I made a video about it. I mean, it's not that complicated to find it. A bunch of people do it, but I mean, this one over here, pretty accurate than last year. I'm happy with it. So where am I? Yeah, so I just use a normal blade, again, because it's a 2.5 inch Tenon or 2.5 inch mortise is going to be back here. Yeah, words. So it's going to happen. So we just cut the mortise with the normal blade I have over there. It's just a flat tooth ripping blade. So I just did on one side, turn it around, did the other side to center it out, and then just, you know, took little by little in the middle until, you know, we had a nice clean tenon. The mortise. For the tenon side of things, a little bit less complicated because, you know, it's just a tenon. I'm going to set a 90-degree angle onto this thing, so because we made it that way when we did the seat, right? So super simple. We use a table saw in order to fit it into the mortise, just lifting up little by little by little. I mean, like, on my saw, it was like 1/10 of a turn at a time until I dialed this one up, and each one of them are a little bit different, so we just have to, you know, change it here and there to make it happen. So yeah, so that's how we did the bridal joint. So everything got married together. You got hitched, son. then we put a couple of, pin nails into the mortise and tenon to pin it down. So just added security in case the glue doesn't stick, that kind of stuff. So that's part of the assembly. Then we put the slats that go on top. Everything else is screwed in pretty much. Yeah, I don't mind looking at screws. I think it adds character to the bench, especially if you're able to do them nice and straight. This is how we did it. See you after this montage. All right, so the last bench that we did, we had templates to indicate exactly where all the seats were going. In this case, we don't have that, so this is how we would do it if we don't have templates already set up with the height and everything else. So the way that we set this up, we just propped it up on some milk crates over here, and then like a 2x4 was high enough to bring the front edge of the bench to 17.5. I mean, the goal is to bring it to 18. 17.5 is close enough. I mean, anything between 17 and 18 is good enough for a bench like this. So we just let it propped up on that 2x4 on top of the milk crate. And then we want to fit the legs in. So the front leg, the limitations for the front leg is you want it to be as forward as possible without breaking the plane of the actual bench. If you break the plane of the actual bench, it creates a tripping hazard. So you want to keep it behind there, but at the same time, you want it far forward to prevent it from tipping over. Tipping over in the front is not a big deal. Tipping over in the back is a big deal. So for the hind legs, the one in the back, you want to put them as far as you can backwards without breaking the plane of the backrest. Same deal. Tripping hazard if people walk behind them, so you want to keep it inside the frame of the actual table or the bench. The bench, we're building a bench, not a table, a bench, park bench. I love building this, and I did tell you that I was going to tell you exactly how much I sold this for. each one of these benches sell for $1,500 pretty fast. I don't think we'll be able to keep any of these in stock. I can't build them fast enough to be able to sell them. So yeah, $1,500 for a $100 investment, pretty decent. See you next time. Probably gonna do something beginner or something. I don't know. We'll see.